Alright, take two. You won't actually see it because I'm not going to upload it, but I got like halfway through this video and got interrupted. And because I'm lazy and only do one take and don't have any editing software, I couldn't recover it, so I had to start again. Today, basically, what I'm doing is witches. I'm going to do my second video in this how to play this game, sort of half decent tutorial series on witches. I was going to start with archers, but too many people have asked me, when do I use witches? Why do I use witches? When do I swap out of them into wizards? Why do I swap out of them? Help me. I get a lot of PMs on Discord. I think they're called DMs now, direct messages, not private messages, which might date me a little bit, but I don't know. They used to be called instant messages. They were IMs. This is a little bit of a tangent, so we'll get back on topic. Basically, witches are really, really good in the beginning of the game, which I'm assuming most of the audience is. And the beginning of the game I would consider around the first 65,000 waves. Apart from that, they are almost mandatory in colonies, all the way through to Orc Colony 110, including Hell Colony 30,000, Earth Colony 30,000, everything, just because they block the units that spawn and push them back so your ranger can attack the castle directly. They're also quite decent in some infinite builds. They're not bleeding edge 1% top 10, but they are very good and could probably help you get a slightly higher score if you can gear for it. Now, this build I've got on screen is your standard waving build for beginners with witches. I'll just change this to mine. This, I believe, will be your standard waving build for beginners. If you're not level capped, swap that into that and use that. So you've got your 3 archers, obviously, you've got your necro, you've got Windy, which is a new addition, but I think she's good enough to carry you through early game, especially if she's fire, because you'll have Dorothy and Alice fire, and you'll run solar to give the 5% bonus fire buff. Then you'll have your white wizard, white mage, pure wizard, whatever you call. You'll have Lisa as poison. Assassin is good. Deep assassin. Military band, obviously, for 35% gold, and you'll probably want smith too. And this should get you through to around 65k. It's hard to say exactly. It depends on a few things. It depends on your castle health. It depends on the level of your archers, and it depends on whether you're failing waves or not. If you're not failing waves, I wouldn't bother swapping out, but in my experience, at around 65,000, the flying mobs get a little bit too intense for you to deal with, and none of the witches can hit flying mobs, so you sort of swap them out for the wizards, which ultimately are stronger anyway. And that's when you start dealing with flying mobs efficiently, using your lightning wizard, and you buff it with the fire and the ice wizard. The ice also brings us freeze. Now the items you're going to want on this, well, actually we'll go promotions first. As I said before, Lisa you're going to want as poison, because it brings 20%, it's the necro, it's mini necro, 20% enemy armor reduction every hit, so it sort of, you got enough out, it constantly debuffs all the mobs and they take 20% more damage, which is quite strong. Alice you're going to want as fire, she's primary damage dealer in this trio, she does the most. And Dorothy you can have as ice if you want, if you need a slow, otherwise I'd run her as fire. If you don't have the cooldown on Lisa, maybe run double poison just so you definitely saturate everything, but Dorothy can do quite a bit of damage as fire as well. A few people actually have her beating Alice in the early parts of the game, but ultimately she doesn't beat Alice in the end of the game. Now, as far as items go, we'll go B class items, you're going to want cooldown. A class items, you're going to want double cooldown. S class items, you're going to want double cooldown. This is for Lisa, by the way, not all of them. Double cooldown. And L items, you're going to want double cooldown plus 1 summon. For Alice, you're going to want fire all the way through. Just quadruple fire elemental. And for L class items, plus 1 summon and fire. For Dorothy, depending on her spec, you'll either go full damage plus 1 summon, or if she's poison, you'll go cooldown plus 1 summon. Because poison, it doesn't really matter about the damage. The key to this is really solar. You can use Edward, but he dies pretty early on because he's melee. Solar just increases fire elements by 5%, so it's basically a 5% buff to your primary damage dealer, which is Alice. Now that's for waving up to around 65,000. That's also for colonies. The colony build is a little bit different. What I would use instead is Mech Ram with damage, not knockback. I'd still use these 3 just because Hunter buffs the Archer. And I'm not entirely sure if Windy hits because I've completed my colonies before it came out. If Windy doesn't hit the enemy building, I'd probably use Flame Ogre, but I'm pretty sure she will. And that right there would be your... Well, you don't really take gold, so we'll add cooldown. And what we'll do is siege defense is important for the orc colonies only. Unicorn shield for all other colonies. And that would be your basic build. Obviously you can tailor it a little bit. Remove the crit arrow if you need more health, depending on your castle level. Don't really use Devil Heart. It's not great. I mean, it's 30%, it sounds good, but it's not that good. And you're just wasting a slot, really. So that's colonies. We've done colonies, we've done waving, we've done promotions. Basically, I'll rehash. The reason you replace them is because they can't attack flying mobs. And the flying mobs, that is this in particular, the Grim Archer, gets to a point where it does a lot of damage. And I imagine this also would do quite a bit of damage. Obviously I don't know because I don't use witches anymore, but the flying mobs are a big thing, and it gets around 55,000 to 65,000. Realistically, you're going to want to look at changing into wizards, which is a whole nother video. I'll do a video on wizards later. Just so you can deal with those without dying, or you'll start losing waves, you'll lose skip waves, you'll waste your auto battle time, that sort of thing. Now for Infinite, the build is very different. Basically it's this, but instead of these wizards, you would run the witches. It doesn't matter what order you put the witches in, they don't really interact like that. You would also get rid of Giant Ogre and you'd put Flame Ogre in, and Mech Ram I'd probably replace for Windy. So that, if you imagine that's Fire Ogre and those are made witches, that's the build you'd use. Now on the witches, in an infinite build, you want knockback. So you want S items, quad knockback on all of them. L items, quad knockback plus one extra summon. You could also use double knockback, double cooldown, plus one summon, but obviously it's quite difficult to gear for, and if you are focused on L items, you're probably past the point where you want to use these in an infinite build. This is going to help people, you know, get to 20 billion damage. So if you're under 20 billion damage, you might be interested in using them, but it really does cap out at like absolute maximum 30 or 40 billion damage is where it caps out. Now, I do not believe this is actually going to succeed. I have no idea why that changed, so we will go to that. Just because I have flying mobs and I'm a little bit too leveled with my witches under-leveled, I'm not sure if this will succeed or not, but we can always have a look. I also haven't set the AI up properly, so I think they still attack nearest. It might actually be alright. I mean, if it's alright for me, it's going to be alright for you to swap whenever you're ready, you know? I think my Alice is 6,000, my Dorothy and Lisa are 4,000. But it does become difficult with packs like that. The thing to take into account is that I have level 80,000 town archers, which do, you know, 710,000 damage. There you go, it's all there. Alice still performed pretty well for something only level 6,000 with no items. But, right. Now on a different note, I've started playing Endless Frontier, and I may, once I'm totally new to the game and not at all knowledgeable enough, but once I get a feel for it a little bit, I'll probably start putting up videos, totally different series. You don't have to watch it if you're into Grow Castle. If you're into both, that's cool, you can watch it. So that's something that's coming in the future. But as I said, I'm new to the game. I've only really sort of played it for a couple of weeks now, and it is very in-depth. If you're looking for a new game, maybe check it out. I don't really know. Play on server 6 and you can join our guild, or clan, or whatever it's called in game. It's called Grow Castle, because the people that made it are from Grow Castle, as you would know, being a Grow Castle member. What else is new? The server's all secure again. I'm moving to Underdog at some point, maybe next week or the week after, just in preparation for when Infinite Guild comes out, which is a new feature that hasn't really been spoken about. So you'll have to wait until I'm allowed to speak about that before I can. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hopefully this has been somewhat informative for you. Please.